And can you believe it? WrestleMania week has arrived. Welcome into the Coach and Bro Show, part of all of the lineup here at BTT Studios. I am the coach. We're here every single Monday and Thursday around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, my partner who I cannot do this without, of course, from russosbrand.com, the man himself, Vince Russo. And Vince, this was always my favorite Monday of the year because that meant I wasn't going home. I was going straight to whatever the WrestleMania city was, and I used to love the entire week. Good afternoon. It's great to see you again, sir.
Good afternoon. And listen, Coach, we got to get stuff out on the table before we go on.
Oh no,
I gotta get this stuff off my chest because I don't want to be I don't want to be indicated or get the finger pointed at me. But Tony Carlucci, who I did the show with last week, Tony Carlucci. Throughout the entire show. Now you were sick, from what I understand. Totally believed you, under the weather. You had no voice. My God, Coach, with your schedule, I saw you all over the weekend, all over the place on all these shows. Clearly, you run down. You're sick.
Yep.
Tony Carlucci, however, came on the show last Monday and claimed that you were on the golf course perfectly 100% healthy. And I just want to say, when I do the show with Tony Carlucci, his views and opinions are not those of mine, Coach. So I want to separate myself from that right now.
Well, let me just address the first mistake you just made. I did the show last Monday, so I was here.
Thursday, Coach.
Oh,
Thursday.
Now we're changing days. Okay, so now it's Thursday.
I'm old. Thursday, Coach. Thursday.
And then at some point you took off all that hair and you didn't tell me. And I think with your hair, your common sense went with it too, because you clearly didn't turn on ESPN2 on Friday night. Because if you had, you would have heard that I sounded like the worst version of a high school kid with puberty that you've ever heard. It was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing. But I wanted to force through it because I'm like the face of the PFL now. You understand that?
All over the place. Coach, I'm watching you over the weekend, all over the place. Congratulations. And let me say this. They could not have a better pitch man than the great Coach.
Thank you very much. I really sincerely appreciate that because we're all going to be doing this together. And I've been working on this for 2 years. For people who don't know, I've never, and Vince, you understand this, that when you're put into a box and somebody says, okay, you're a talent, even if you're a top talent, I've always wanted to expand what I do. And I've never had that opportunity because I've never been with a company that is in a position to say, but I said, you know what? I respect Dana White. I respect what the UFC has done over the last 25 years. Why can we not do the same thing? And that's exactly, we kind of drew a line in the sand. And I said, allow me to be the face because, fighters are always changing. And I said, one event at a time. Let's not focus on anybody else, but let's focus on what we're doing. And they're finally buying in. And I will tell you, at least 8 to 10 people have been hired in the last 4 months, and they came from the WWE. They've recognized that the PFL, where should we go to get people who understand entertainment, understand how to do it at the highest level, understand storytelling? Well, you go to Stanford, and you pick their pocket, and that's exactly what we've done. It's been incredible. But the work's just starting, but I appreciate it. But I'm telling you, in 5 years, I'm going to be the president of this damn thing, and we're going to take this thing to the moon. But it doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean?
And then we can jack prices up to $20,000 a ticket, Coach, and just rip all the people off so we don't sell out. How about that, Coach?
Well, that's exactly where we're going to start the show today. It's going to be all WrestleMania all week. They deserve it. But, Vince, we're one of the only shows that when this thing started, when tickets went on sale, because we love WrestleMania, we know how much Vince loved WrestleMania. It was all about the families. And we saw the prices come out, and we said, wait a second, 15 large for a front row ticket for an event that's 2 nights? And Vince, not only is it not even close to selling out, but I have a graphic for you that's going to blow your mind. Top row was $1,000 to this event just a couple of weeks ago. Guess where it's at right now? $200 a ticket, which is still high for a nosebleed. But right. Vince, they've gone down 80% to make sure they sell out the rest of this event, which starts in 5 days. To me, they better be looking at this because this is alarming.
Well, Coach, here's my question to you. Do you think they will be looking at this, or do you think this will totally be ignored? I'd love to hear your take on it.
I think that, at least for right now, they're going to ignore it. I think they've done a really good job, and this is marketing 101, of putting lipstick on a pig, is when you divert the attention away from the issue and say, oh, but now you can buy this combo ticket for X amount of dollars. You can see these talents at this place in addition to. That's marketing 101. But Vince, if they don't look at this and say, a 2-night event, and the last time I checked, over 9,000 tickets are still available. And this is the most sought-after ticket historically in wrestling. And we're talking about WrestleMania 22 was the last time they had this few tickets sold for this event. And it's not about today. But what they need to recognize, Vince, is that if they're already doing it 4 months in to this mega Netflix deal, what's going to happen if they decide not to lower these tickets next year? And the year after, and the year after? These families are going to say, you know what? I'm just not even going to bother. And that would be the worst thing that could possibly happen. What about you?
Well,
Coach, Vince, look. You see my camera?
Yeah.
We're having an earthquake right now. I'm in the middle of an earthquake.
Are you serious?
I am dead. My phone is saying earthquake detected. Drop, cover, hold.
Go drop cover.
Son, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. My son's homesick from school today. It's okay. That was a big one right there.
Wow.
Wow. What's that? You think that they're saying 7 on TV? Oh my God. You guys saw that, right?
Yeah,
oh my God.
I saw the camera shake.
I know. We're okay. You're okay. Everything's fine. No, don't apologize for coming in. Oh my gosh. That was absolute. Go sit down. You're fine. Oh my God. That is one of the scariest things I've ever sat through in my life. It's over now. But you guys all saw the camera, right?
How do you know it's over now, Coach? Do they come shortly thereafter, or is it usually one and done?
I've only been in 2, but this was so heavy that the house was shaking.
Yeah, we saw
I'm shaking right
the camera was doing this, Coach.
Yeah,
we clearly
I wasn't touching anything. I was just talking. And now I'm putting the news on next to me. Normally, there's not a second one, at least not at that level. You'll have like a 7, then maybe like a 2. But the entire house shook. And I have a pretty big house. And that was scary, boys.
Wow,
that was,
bro.
Wow. We'll keep our eyes on that.
You good? Are you good, Coach? You sure your son's okay, Coach?
I'm good. And my son's good, too. Wow. Welcome to California living.
Coach, that's ratings right there, Coach. That's right. Hey, producer man, grab that headline, bro. That's right. It's so funny, Coach, because before you saw that, I was seeing in the corner of the screen, Tony Carlucci was online. And I thought for a second when the camera shook, I thought that was the after effects of Tony crying when the Giants walked into the Bronx and took 2 out of 3 from the Mountain Yankees. But, Coach, it was a real earthquake. That is ratings. I'm glad you're okay, Coach. Jeez.
Yeah, my son just walked in and they said on TV it's over a 6. So it was over a 6.
That's nuts
on the Richter scale. Wow, I've never experienced that. I mean, that's crazy. All right, we'll move on. But yeah,
what a throw! You can power through this, Coach. You're okay.
Let's go. I'm okay.
Yeah, throw this, Coach.
I'm more worried about my son than anything. By the way, Tommy says, "Hey, Tony Carlucci here in the chat." He'll be a part of the last word tonight. On Stadium. We have big news for that, too. Not to get off. I mean, we're already off the beaten path. So Stadium, Vince, and my next job is to get this show on Stadium. They have given us a primetime location. So they're moving from Monday nights. We'll still do the show live on YouTube and social, but 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
So guess who our lead-in is now on Stadium on Thursday nights?
Go ahead, Coach.
The Savannah Bananas.
Yes, bananas. Yeah, and so entertaining, man. So entertaining if you've never seen them before. That's awesome, Coach.
If I gave you a choice of Savannah Bananas or 32 Major League teams, which one would you take?
Savannah Bananas.
All day long.
All
All
day.
day long.
All
All
day.
day long.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing. We're going to have their founder on in the next few weeks, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But we're taking steps, and the Coach and Bro Show, very important to what we are doing. So before we got so rudely interrupted by a sixth earthquake, I was asking you your thoughts on whether or not TKO will look at this and really address it, or continue to make moves saying, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great.
Yeah, Coach, they have to look at this because from history, Coach, you were there for so many years. Coach, you knew that selling out WrestleMania was just a gimme. It was a gimme. Didn't matter where the card was. Didn't matter what city it was hosted in. It was a gimme. They sold it out. So if it's me and you're in Vegas, and not only do you not sell out one night, but both nights, again, we talk about business 101. Coach, you got to look at that, and you've got to look at that model, Coach.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things they like to do, Vince, is look at the overall gate. Oh, well, we're setting a gate. Well, you're setting a gate because you're charging so much for the tickets. And eventually that gate is just going to drop and drop and drop and drop, because you can't ask a family to spend $60,000 or $2 million on a Hulk Hogan experience that experience has gone away. You can't even buy it anymore. I mean, who's going to spend $2 million on that? I mean, it's insanity. I would love to know, sitting in the rooms, when all this stuff comes up and somebody goes, yep, let's sign off on that. Let's spend time making a Hulk Hogan experience. And the caveat, Vince, would be, let's throw in a 12, a case of his new beer to really take it over the top. That's what I feel like they're doing right now. They're just spitballing stuff to just see how much and every last freaking dollar that they can get.
Coach, we all know the line. We've used it a million times, but I'm really questioning this old cliche. Literally laughing all the way to the bank. When they're sitting in these meetings and looking each other in the eye and discussing these prices, are they literally laughing at the consumer? Because they have to be. They have to be, knowing whatever price tag we put on these things, these wrestling fans are going to pay. Now again, what happens is they've started alienated the casual fans that are hardworking blue-collar workers and are not only can they not afford it, Coach, let's face it, they're not going to pay that price to go to a wrestling show.
Exactly. And not only will they not pay it, but now they become negative about the product, because all of a sudden they believe, and this happened when The Rock started doing movies back in 2002, when he listened to his agents and said, you know what, I'm leaving cold turkey. I remember having a conversation with him saying, hey, why don't you try and do both? And I understand the movies are a really, really hard thing to make, and you got to be there for the rest of the cast. But Vince, I said, I believe the wrestling fans are going to boycott your movies. And that's exactly what happened. If people remember his early movies, who I loved very, very much, they didn't make any money. And if you start, let's say it's 5 million people, just to be conservative, and tickets are $10. And you have 5 million wrestling fans supporting you no matter what. That's $50 million The Rock could have started with his movies before regular people go and see it. They didn't do that. And all those meetings, that's why he had to cut a deal with Disney and do a 4-picture deal back then so he could have some guaranteed money. And those are just miscalculations that certain people make. I'll have more on that in a second, but I don't want to ignore, real quick, we didn't say we have one here. Vince, how can people be involved and have their voices be heard, sir?
Yeah, guys, we love you being a part of this conversation with questions or opinions or comments, and you could do that through a super sticker or a donation. We will throw you right up on the screen, and we will address you.
Just like Alex right now, our first live show. Happy to be here. We're happy to have you. Vince, can you still sing my name so I can hear you butcher it?
Yes. What is it? Because I don't see it up on the screen. What is it?
Alex Androsson?
Androsson, I think it is.
Androsson.
Alex Androsson. Alex Androsson. Coach, you know what the worst part about this is? Did you watch SmackDown on Friday?
I was actually on ESPN2 working on Friday.
I wish I was there with you, Coach, because I was actually watching SmackDown. Coach, they're singing the names in the States now. They were in Seattle, Washington on Friday, and now, man, talk about monkey see, monkey do. They're literally now in the States. They're starting that lame brain, asinine tradition of singing the wrestlers' names.
Oh, my gosh. All right. More on that in a moment. We got a couple from Awesome Sauce who we love here. Great supporter of the brand. He says Coach's camera is shaking more things up than just the WWE. That's a good one. And we have another one from Awesome Sauce. I guess I went past the first one. I don't have the first one there. There we go. Here we go. SmackDown sucked. Heard the only heat in the building was from Nick Beer in the bathroom from digesting processed tap meat. Hope that was heat. I don't even know what that means. Awesome Sauce. Come on, you're better than
that. No, you know what a neck beard is, right, Coach?
Yeah, but I don't like writing FART. I don't like reading that. It's lowbrow to me, and I love Awesome Sauce. You want to address that? I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, no, that was Awesome Sauce. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What's that?
Okay. All right, we'll move on. All right, so Vince, on top of the tickets not being sold, I don't know about Monday Night on Raw, which is going to be. They always do it now instead of back when I was there, we would have to drive the next morning, and that was the worst.
Yeah.
You go to the WrestleMania party till 2 or 3 in the morning, get up and have to drive, and you're just like, wait a second, I just had my Super Bowl. But now they've started doing it. You know, you've got the big 60,000 or whatever, 50,000 football stadium, and then the next night the T-Mobile, which is only maybe a mile or two away from the football stadium. But Vince, they did something that shocks me, and I can't wait to hear your reaction to this. So John Cena has now been advertised not just for SmackDown this Friday night, but also for Raw next Monday night at the T-Mobile Arena. And in my opinion, if you've never screamed, he wins number 17 before, you're screaming it now.
Yeah, Coach, I got that tweet from you this morning, and before I read on to your comments, literally as soon as I saw that, absolutely without a shadow of a doubt, man, it's just going to be very interesting. Listen, Coach, you and I said when this whole thing started, they got to put the title on Cena. Obviously, they have to do that. We talked about this. But my gosh, Coach, they got so much pushback when Brock Lesnar was a part-time champion. Mm-hmm. I mean, John Cena is going to be nothing more than a part-time champion. And, Coach, we always know how it is coming right out of WrestleMania. That's when there's a little, downturn and the wind is let out of the sails a little bit. Well, now we're going to add to that the champion is not even going to be prominent on the show on a weekly basis. We've said this all along, Coach. What is this show going to look like after WrestleMania?
And I don't know right now how excited I am about it, because normally, Vince, in the past, you do WrestleMania much, much earlier, and then you go overseas after WrestleMania because they're still very, very excited. And they understand that going 52 weeks a year, there is that, letting these sales out just a little bit. Right. But they've already done that, Vince. They already did that because of John Cena and because of his movie schedule. So now you've got him the Monday after, but then how long would we have to wait if he is the champion? If he is the champion, which we both believe that he will be, then you're going to see him Monday night in Vegas, and then I believe he has to go back and continue to film the rest of that movie. And if that's the case, my goodness, that could not be worst case scenario. So they better have something in line for Rock appearances, perhaps Stone Cold appearances, perhaps to me, until you can elevate some of these young guys like a Karrion Kross or a Braun Breaker, who I like very much, you might have to lean into the legend department in order to carry this company through to SummerSlam, especially the weeks that John Cena is not there.
Yeah, but again, Coach, talking about those board meetings, what do we always say? The checks are already cashed. How important are those numbers to them? That's the question.
Well, right now we're looking at an average of 3 million worldwide on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So if you've noticed, Vince, you have not seen any advertising or any promotion saying, last week, Monday night, we had the, And normally these 5 weeks or these 6 weeks are the highest rated weeks of the entire year. Who's the one guy, Vince? And let me just say this. We're not sitting here being hateful or negative or anything like that. We're telling you what is right in front of us. And I would love to tell you that they've done everything right. I would love to tell you. And by the way, did you see the Gunther quote? If it's not coming from us, did you read Gunther?
No, what was it, Coach?
Gunther said that it was such a long time between Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble and now that he felt basically like everything got stale. And he said, we're finally getting to a point with 2 weeks to go that I'm feeling like there's some momentum with our storyline with Jey Uso. He said that.
Yeah.
He said that. So if your world heavyweight champion is saying that, then how are fans supposed to feel? You know what I mean?
Well,
how are fans supposed to feel?
Man, I don't know, Coach, if I would have said that while maybe the decision of who wins the match was up in the air, because after making a comment like that, I don't think Triple H is going to raise Gunther's hand anytime soon.
That's a fascinating statement, but also a very fair one. We do have another super sticker. Cliff, God, my eyes are horrible. Cliffside, do y'all think Triple H will be scapegoated for ticket sales? We believe that Triple H will be scapegoated for a lot of reasons, not just ticket sales. But if for some reason this falls flat from a storyline perspective, because I saw all these posts this week by Triple H talking about working on entrances for new talent and all the stuff that has nothing to do with WrestleMania. And to me, I'm sure he has a guy, Vince, that does all the social media for him. But that, to me, I love reading between the lines as you do you. And there hasn't been, to me, a lot of promotion leading right towards the event right now. It's like everything else but that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Coach, that you say that, because I saw the same thing with the entrances, and I'm just asking myself, like, brother, are you oblivious? That's where you want to put your time and energy and attention to entrances, when the problem with this show are these entrances are getting longer and longer and longer as a tool to eat time, and these stories just keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's where you're going to put your time. That's interesting to me, Coach.
It really, really, really is. Somebody put in the chat that Gunther's like a poor man Steven Regal. I've been saying that since day one. And finally, people are catching up to your boy. It's just not fun to watch. But to me, and I can't remember which week it was, Vince, but it was right after somebody had just gotten their ass handed to them the previous week. And I think it was Seth Rollins. Yeah, it was Seth Rollins when he got pulled out by Roman. Then the next week, when he should have been walking straight to the ring and confronting whoever it was, they do the full entrance, which takes 3.5 to 4 minutes to complete. And if they've never screamed, eat time, they did that night. And then you've got multiple 2 and 3 segment matches still. And to me, and they'll never do this, they should call you first and foremost, not just because you're my buddy and we're very close, but they need to shake it up. They need to have somebody in the room that does not have an agenda, that is only there about the shows and not about all the other stuff they're trying to accomplish. They showed people the last 2 weeks on the show that I had no clue. I mean, not a clue on who they were, because they're forcing all of these other businesses that they're buying down our throat and trying to promote them, that a 8-second shot on Monday Night Raw, Vince, is going to resonate with me, and I'm going to watch the Pro Bowlers tour, or bull riding tour, excuse me. And that, to me right now, the focus has gotten away from the WWE. They just, to me, they're using the WWE's cash to pay for all of these other things over here. And even Dana White with the UFC, they're talking about Power Slap and then this boxing thing. So they're going to need money to promote that as well. To me, they just bought WWE as a cash cow, and they're letting everything fall on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, again, when you just look at the entire presentation, it's just promotion. And here's the problem when you look at professional wrestling, and we are just going to look at this as a promotional vehicle for a lot of things. Coach, we're talking about pro wrestling, blood, sweat, and tears, grit. That's what this business was built on. This business was built on the back of people like, Buddy Rogers and Bruno Sammartino, and it was really the grit. It was real. It was down. It was dirty. And bro, that's what blue collar people love.
Yes,
Because
they do.
What blue collar people do, man, they go to a job they probably hate every day and they grind it out. They know what that feels like. This is all glitz and glamour. I mean, Coach, Netflix spends 10 minutes introducing stars at ringside. Nobody knows who any of these people are. And that's what this entire show has become. And bro, again, I'm just going to say, this is why the casuals have drifted. This is not wrestling to people like them.
It is, when you talk about 3 million people and then you add worldwide to the end of that sentence, that just screams to me. And Vince, one of the things I loved the most when I got to this week, and call me mamby-pamby, call me soft, call me whatever you want to call me, is when I would show up in the WrestleMania city and you're walking around.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk 5 seconds without somebody coming up, a different accent, a different culture. Coach, I saved up all my money to come here and meet you, and you. And maybe that's why maybe I'm a little bitter about where they've taken it, because when you start doing everything and you verbalize that it's all about the money and not about the fans, that turns the fans off anyway. But as a person who was there for 11 years the first time, and every WrestleMania got bigger, and all the storylines with The Undertaker, you had Rock, you had Stone Cold, you had Triple H, and those great matches with, all the best. And I think about all those top stars, and then we'd show up and their families would come in, Vince. And do you think that any of the TKO executives are going to the Hall of Fame on Friday night to meet the families, to learn what Roman Reigns' family is all about, what Cody Rhodes' family is all about, but not just the stars? What about the guys that are also fighting on the house shows and earlier on Monday Night Raw? Those families miss those guys every single week of the year. That matters. And yet they're making it all about boom, 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 boom. And I think it just bothers me. It really, really does.
Coach, what did I just say? What does this all go back to? Coach, say what you want about the dude. This goes back to one person and one person only, and that's Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Mm-hmm. And what was Vincent Kennedy's McMahon's? What was his root in this business? His old man, Vince Sr., a real promoter, a real had to earn the ticket. Had to earn the ticket to sell out that house. That's Vince's roots. When you take Vince out of this equation, this is what you get, Coach, because I do not believe without a shadow of a doubt. Number one, there was a lot of politics that went on behind the scenes of Vince selling in the first place, because I don't believe he would have ever sold this company. But the way we're seeing this company handled now, we lost the roots. And the roots were Vince's father, what the WWF was, and all signs of that, everything of that is gone in 2025.
And if they do not watch it, and again, it will not be a overnight thing that it falls off a cliff. But it will be slowly. I'm dealing with it at the PFL. I'm telling all the people that I work with that are in this group, I say, guys, one foot in front of the other. And as other people are taking their eyes off the ball, we don't. We stay focused. There would never be a better time. There would never be a better time, in my opinion, for Vince to start something in the next 3 to 6 months, because they could really capitalize, especially if they make the tickets at a price where then you could make them. Now you have 3 options. It could be really, really cool. And the other part of this are the indies. And Vince, recently I sat down with a man. We're dropping part 1 today, part 2 on Thursday, who got fired by the WWE during COVID. His partner is one of our favorites. We love ourselves some Chelsea Green, don't we? She is a bright, shining light. Part of that, or that part 1 interview drops today. I want people just a little bit of Matt Cardona, the indie king, who has become more popular after leaving the WWE. Producer man. I don't think anybody could have imagined 10 years ago, the way it happened with CM Punk, that 10 years later, that he would be a main event star with the WWE. How surprised were you with those two things in particular, going from AEW back to WWE?
And the Cody thing was super interesting because for the first time, I think in wrestling history, he came with the total package, his music, because when he left, he was independent first, created his own music, his own look, his own logos, and owned all that. So he had it in AEW, and then when he jumped to WWE, it was all exactly the same exact logo, same exact song. It was like, wow, like when you really think about it, it's never ever been done. There's always a little change to the song, a little change to the name, change to the look. He was the first guy to ever do it. And then CM Punk coming back, I mean, man, I did not see that coming, but look what it's done for the business. Look at the numbers, look at his merch sales. It's incredible. And now that he's finally getting a WrestleMania main event, like I bet he probably didn't even think it was ever going to happen. And that anything could happen in pro wrestling. Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Anything can happen in pro wrestling. It truly can. It's like there's no rules. There's no formula. There's nothing to follow because everyone has a different path. I try to tell these guys in the independents, like, just because I'm telling you this, don't listen to everything I'm saying, right? Because everyone has a different journey. Like, I can get a phone call tomorrow to go somewhere. Anything changes.
And you can hear the full part 1 of that interview drops later today at our YouTube page. I encourage you to watch it. I really, really enjoyed that, Vince, because Matt Cardona is one guy that probably more than anybody in the history of the business took a negative and turned it into a gigantic positive. And I would argue, he didn't tell me this, that he's making more money now than he made when he was in the WWE.
Well, Coach, look at the two people he was talking about and lump Matt Cardona in there with them. What did these three individuals do? CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Matt. What did they do? They built a brand. They built a brand. We tell the wrestlers that all the time. You cannot listen. Everybody gets stars in their eyes, and we're working for the WWE, and it's the pinnacle, and we're going to keep our mouth shut and fall in line. Guess what? It's not forever. It's not forever, and you need to build your brand when you're in there, and building the brand is going to take some chances because you're not going to be a robot. You're not just going to fall in line. You're going to speak up when something stinks and is rotten and is bad for you. But guess what, Coach? Like these three individuals, that's going to help you in the long run. They're proof of that, Coach.
Absolutely spot on. And when you look at the videos lately with Triple H and CM Punk, and I don't know if you saw the interview where Triple H said, well, now we disagree and we sit down and discuss it, which is different than 10 years ago. CM Punk is a poster child for what can happen and what should happen. The problem is right now they've only got about 3 or 4 guys like that. But if I'm a young cat like a Braun Breaker or a Karrion Kross, and I really look, and you don't have to be verbally complaining about what's going on because that's not going to do anybody any good. But if you look at it and say, listen, I would walk in, Vince, if you were the head writer right now, and I would lay out the next year of my character, if I'm Karrion Kross or Braun Breaker, to use those two guys, and say, here's where I want to be, here's who I want, and really show you and the head writers how serious I am about being a player for this version of the WWE. Because just like I tell the fighters at the PFL, there is going to come a time very, very soon where the light switch is going to be turned on for the people up top. And when we are able to make that switch and make that change, who's going to be there to pick up the baton and run with it? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? And I would tell the same thing if I was standing right in front of all of the wrestlers right now. Like the LFG show last night when Bubba Ray goes off on whoever. It's about who wants to pick it up. And that sounds very cliche, but there has never been a bigger or better time. And Vince, this is also the thing. If you're TKO and I'm looking at it, I'm saying, I got to pay somebody. And we, Cody and Roman and all these guys, few guys are making the really big millions. But there's that middle area, the 1 million to 5 million guy, that to me is wide open right now. Who wants to bite the apple? Who wants a shot? That's what I would say to them.
Well, Coach, a big part of that is, and this is, to me, this is what separated The Rock from everybody else. You know, wrestlers are supposed to be workers. Well, then work the system. That's what it's all about. working the system to your favor. And man, I got to tell you, Coach, within the first month of working with Rock, I just knew he was smarter than everybody else. He was working the workers, and I saw it, and I knew this guy's going to go well beyond wrestling. You've got to work the system. You can't be a part of the system. You got to work it to your favor.
No doubt about it. I see a couple of people in the chat saying, Coach, Karrion Kross is late 30s. You got to understand, I'm talking about young in the WWE. To the rabid wrestling fan, he is still a young guy. And if you watch Vince, this Netflix show, and luckily they started putting that counter up in the top, because half the time I don't know if we're on the air or not on the air. I don't know if I'm seeing it or not seeing it. And a lot of these interviews that Kross has done and Braun, they've been off the air. And I openly question myself, with all the stuff on the air that you're just dragging out, why would you not take out a 3.5-minute entrance and have them in the ring already and then show Karrion Kross, who to me is one of the most entertaining guys they have on the show? But yet he gets buried off camera with a really, really entertaining pre-tape. And to me, that's just a mistake.
Yeah, you know, Coach, I know a little bit about Karrion Kross, and he's not one of these guys that's going to fall in line. He is going to speak up, and he's going to say something, and quite frankly, that has probably hurt him. But that's why I'm saying you've got to work the workers. You've got to be smarter than them. You've got to know how to present ideas, how to put other people over so you get over. There is an art to that, Coach.
I tell guys all the time, whether it's on my team here at BTT or when I was in whatever, I said, you got to be a point guard. And if you're a nice point guard, you're going to get the praise when somebody else scores. Think about that for a sec. You're going to get the praise when somebody else scores. And also, as far as Kross and not falling in line, I've seen it a million times, Vince. And it does suck when somebody, unless you're at the level like a Brett was when his situation, like a Sean was in his situation, you are going to get buried. You probably are going to get fired. You've got to be very strategic about how you go about getting to the point where you are a featured performer. And you can sit there and be as frustrated as you want about some of the decisions that Triple H, creative team, TKO is making, but complaining about it publicly is not going to do you any good.
Right.
You've got to work the system and play the game. Now, two guys I want to talk about as we head into WrestleMania this week. And I am blown away as much as I love him. And you just said he's one of the smarter than anybody else. That's why this surprises me a little bit. That the entire Cody Cena storyline was based off of The Rock wanting to get his soul. And Cena went to him and did the throat slash. But yet, unless I've missed something, Vince, since that night, we have not seen The Rock one time, have we?
We have not seen it one time. And again, Coach, I know you're a betting man, and I know you've got a whole platform. And I know how Rock works, and I think there's a reason we have not seen him in a long time, because I'm telling you, Rock picks his spots. And I believe he is going to pick the biggest spot at WrestleMania to put him right smack in the forefront ahead of everything, as he always does. This is what I talk about when I say he's smarter than everybody else. Out of sight, out of mind. We've not seen him. When are we going to see him? At the biggest pivotal part, not only of WrestleMania, of the entire year for the WWE.
But I would openly question if for this WrestleMania and this run and the fact that they're brand new into this $500 billion deal, whatever it is, I openly question if that was the right move this time. I really, really do. I really, really do. I thought that the storyline could have been really, even if he used social media like what Roman Reigns just released a video. Don't trust anybody. And that, to me, is easy. It's low-hanging fruit that you can use social media, and Rock did it a year ago. Remember? He did all of those. I mean, those were 10, 12 minutes at the rodeo on his social media that got more play than the show did. I have a super sticker that plays right into this conversation, Vince, from Final Boss Engaged. Hi, guys. Coach, how did WWE change, by the way, from your two different runs? It was night and day, Vince. During my first run, there was actual competition to get into WrestleMania and the main event. I remember when WrestleMania 18, The Rock and Hulk Hogan, it was very, very, very clear, and everybody started competing for that number 2 spot. But that was the night, Vince, that Triple H and Vince decided this will be the night that the World Heavyweight Championship becomes the most important thing. And sometimes when you're sitting in a room and these guys make these decisions, you're sitting there and you don't want to fight with them, but you want to say, this could not be a worse decision that could ever be made. And people, if you talk to them and say, what was the last match at WrestleMania 18? I would bet less than half would tell you it's Jericho and Triple H. But it is. And it was. And that, to me, is the biggest change, Vince, that I saw from my first run there during the Attitude Era, when you had legitimately 20 different guys that could main event WrestleMania. That led to competition at house shows, who's selling the most tickets, who's on the marquee, who's going to be at the beginning of Raw, who does the promo, and then at the end of all of that. The minute Rock would walk in the door, who's he meeting with? Merch guy. Stone Cold walks in the door, who's he meeting with? Merch guy. I mean, that's what it was like back then. It wasn't wait for you to come to me. I want to come to you.
Yeah. Well, Coach, again, a lot with me, there's a reason for everything. So, call me a conspiracy theorist, call me whatever you'd like. What did I just say about 10 minutes ago? The Rock is the smartest one in the room.
You did.
So
yes.
Is he manipulating the entire situation? Is this his revenge on Triple H that goes back 25 years ago? Is he setting up Triple H for a fall that Triple H does not see coming? You guys got to understand something. We worked with him. This is how smart this guy is. I am telling you, this is how brilliant he is. And I think everything we see taking place, Coach, is going to benefit The Rock, and I think on a much, much bigger scale.
I think people need to understand that, and from this show forward, start watching what Triple H and The Rock do in this vein. Because understand what Vince is saying and what I am saying. I have spent so much time with The Rock backstage and doing stuff. Even when he came back with me and Eugene, that was a way to get back at Triple H. He wanted to go longer because it took away from Triple H's time during the crossover segment. That's fact, because I was there, because I was in it. And what The Rock will never do is admit publicly, because you see Vince in all these shows now. Oh, The Rock was great. Oh, Triple H was great. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Neither guy likes each other. Triple H wanted to be what The Rock turned into. He tried to be a movie star. I was there at the dinner in Toronto for, Blade 3, when Stephanie said, oh, here's to the first of many motion pictures. Paul Levesque. There hasn't been any sense. There hasn't been any sense. He wanted to be what The Rock and John Cena turned into. So The Rock on the other side, Vince, as smart as he is, he loves power. And he loves being a guy that people rely on. The other day, he just put out some new cartoon from $7 production. He says, I need to find a partner to do more of this. I'm pretty sure his phone rang just like that. This is a guy who wants to run the entire ship. And in order to do that, who has to walk out the door, Vince?
And how do you do it? How do you do it, Coach? You set them up without them ever seeing it come. Yeah, let's put him in the Hall of Fame. Let's prop him up. Let's give him his props. You set them up and they never see it coming.
I hope we're wrong, but I don't think that we are. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, another thing I want those of you who are watching to understand, that if they are not getting the play or the attention that they feel like this event deserves, they then add stuff as they go. So now, Vince, what have they added in order to get people to show up, buy tickets, and pay attention to this? Because Triple H was the marquee. Triple H was the guy. They thought that was going to be the hook. then what did they do? They added a Hall of Fame match. It's kind of what the UFC does, the same thing. They'll induct a fight into the Hall of Fame every single year. So now they're inducting Stone Cold and Bret Hart and that legendary fight that they had, and CM Punk is going to be the one introducing it. So now you got 3 stars showing up that probably, Vince, outside of CM Punk, would not have been there in attendance. Do you agree with my assessment?
I agree with you 1,000%, Coach. When they announced there was going to be a match of the year or a Hall of Fame match, the first thing we said was, what is the angle to make more money? Money grab, money grab, money grab. How are they going to use this to make more money? And like you said, add a Bret Hart, add a Austin to this event. CM Punk is going to introduce it. More people are going to buy tickets. More people are going to come. That's what it's all about with this company at the end of the day.
I'm going to be interested to find out, because Stone Cold did an interview recently where he said, hey, nobody's called me yet, but I will be in Vegas signing, autographs. Stone Cold can still make, good Lord, him and Kevin Nash can make 15 to 30 grand just showing up and signing autographs. It's easy money for those guys. But Stone Cold has never been about the easy money, Vince. He wants everything to make sense. He wants the Stone Cold character to make sense. And if Stone Cold just shows up to have not a big role in that situation, he's not going to do it. So describe a scenario to me as a lead writer that would make sense for Stone Cold to show up and be a part of that night 2 scenario.
Coach, I have to tell you, and this is really, it's a little embarrassing. It really is.
Okay.
If Rock picks his spot and Cody's up, looks like he's going to beat John Cena, The Rock picks his spot, the music, the entrance, here he comes. Bro, think about this for a second, Coach. If Rock screws Cody out of that championship and you break that glass and Austin comes out and hits Rock with a stunner, Coach, you immediately are going to forget everything that's ever happened the last 25 years. All this stuff they're doing with Heyman and Gunther and the triple threat and all the nonsense, yeet, 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 yeet. People will forget everything like that. And it will become about 2 guys from 25 years ago. That really tells you what they've built over the last 25 years. Because if they did something like that, nobody would care about anything else.
So are you saying that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm saying that's a horrible thing.
Oh, gotcha.
That is a horrible.
So you don't think they should have to need to do that?
Absolutely.
If they were, okay.
That would be, the Giants are losing to the Yankees in the bottom of the 9th, and Barry Bonds comes up to pitch hit. I mean, seriously, that's what we're looking at. I mean, and man, think about that. How could you ever let your company get to that point where you got to keep going back and going back and going back? And it just really speaks volumes.
It really does. You're watching the Coach and Bro Show. We're here every single Monday and Thursday. If you're watching on demand, thank you for that as well. The chat is absolutely rolling today. I love the conversation you guys are having. If you want to be a part of the show or have your voice be heard, you can do that through a super sticker or becoming a premium member. Here's another interesting thing that happened this week. Nobody really knows what's going on backstage with Charlotte Flair. We've heard a lot of things about her dressing on her own and all this kind of stuff. And then Tiffy and her have that off-the-rails interview that WWE took off because clearly that wasn't supposed to happen. And why in the world they would allow, or Charlotte would allow, Ric Flair to do any interviews at this point, I don't know. But I'd be like, Dad, shut up. Because they then have a skit. I thought it looked kind of real at first, and I thought to myself, Coach, what are you talking about here? And they attacked Tiffy time as she's showing up to the arena, slammed her into the car, and then she walks off, already fully dressed, by the way. Already fully dressed in her ring gear or whatever she was going to wear. That was fascinating. But then Ric Flair goes on Busted Open, and they said, Rick, of course you're going to be in Vegas for a chance for your daughter to right all of the wrongs, for a chance for your daughter to do X, Y, and Z. What do you think his response was to that, Vince?
I can't wait to hear, Coach.
He says, well, I would love to be, but I can't. They said, why not? He says, well, I work for AEW. Everybody knows that. And I'm sitting there scratching my head going, A, I didn't know that. B, if I'm 78 years old or whatever it is, and I don't have it into my contract, or I cannot call Tony Khan and say, hey, Tony, I'd like to go watch my daughter at WrestleMania. What are we doing? What are we doing? But I deep down, I love Rick, but he still lives in I'm a main event talent from 1985. You know what I mean? And so he's not a main event talent. He's a great ambassador for AEW, but somehow has made him believe that because of his role in AEW, that he can't be at WrestleMania to support his daughter and or be on camera for that. What are we doing?
Yeah, well, Coach, again, I hate to say this because it's different for all people, but it really comes down to is how much is he dependent on Tony Khan money? I mean, at this point in his life, I lost track of how many divorces he's had and alimonies and whatnot. Who knows, bro? Who knows? It might be dollars and cents. Who knows what Tony Khan is paying him? And he may be dependent on that money at this point in his life.
I really hate what his life has become, because he's one of my favorite people. He is absolutely one of my favorite people. And I think that's part of the problem over the years, is that so many people have loved him and who he was, that they've indulged him, or they have, what's that word? You become a facilitator or whatever it is. And then you get to a point when you're 76 years old and you can't wrestle anymore. And I don't want to see a video working out in the gym. You're not coming back. You will die. And he's almost already died. And I hate that for him. But now this should be about his children, his daughter. And Charlotte right now, I think she's struggling. I don't think she thought that her coming back would turn her into the instant heel that she has become. The other day, she put out a tweet that I thought it was classic heel. And I was like, man, this is creative. Where basically it started with, I need to apologize. If I would have known the people of this city, blah, 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 blah. That's what a heel does. And I was like, man, she's really starting to feed into it and not make it personal on Tiffy. But right now, I think that because of what she's opened up with on all the talk shows, her third divorce, I think, and she's like, I'm trying not to be like my father. That was a quote from her. And mentally, when you're dealing with that, Vince, and you're trying to be part of a major promotion and you're coming back and the fan base is booing you out of the building, how hard do you think mentally that has to be on Charlotte Flair because of what she's dealt with her entire life with her dad?
God, Coach, you know what's so weird about this? When you look at Flair's, children, and you look at Reed Flair, who passed away, and you look at David, who now has nothing to do with the business, and you look at Charlotte, and you can just tell her life's in turmoil. These are three kids that were raised by the same man. And Ric Flair has made no bones about it. This is not Vince Russo talking for Ric Flair. You can go back and watch any documentary, any time where Flair has spoken. He's made no bones about it. The wrestling business was his priority over his own children. He's made that clear. To this day, the wrestling business is still his priority. It's his priority over his own health. He has made that clear. And here's the strange part about it. If I was one of those three children and I saw my dad my whole time growing up making the wrestling business the most important thing in my life, Coach, I got to tell you, I think I would have wanted to have nothing to do with the wrestling business. But for whatever reason, all three of those kids wanted to follow in their father's footsteps. Charlotte's a little different, and you gotta give Charlotte the benefit of the doubt, because remember when Reed passed away? Charlotte's whole thing was, I'm doing this for my brother. I'm doing this for him. I'm doing this in his spirit. So that's a little different. But the fact of the matter is, again, we see a lot of similarities in Charlotte and Rick. Man, she chose to be in this business after knowing what it was like growing up with a dad that was in this business. Has it turned out in a way that you were surprised? Again, Coach, I guess what my point is we are all responsible for our own decisions. Look at David Flair. David Flair did it for a while. When's the last time you heard of David Flair? Who I think he went on to become a cop or something, I'm not sure. But after he got a taste of it, David Flair got as far away from the wrestling business as humanly possible.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I hold a really soft spot in my heart for Charlotte Flair, or Ashley is her real name. Years ago, I was very, very close with Rick, and still would take his call today if he called me and needed anything. But because of what you're saying, he started having them travel to these events and these trips. And she was maybe 15 or 16, something like that. And he brought her to Japan. And because he really trusted me, she might have been 16 or 17, I can't remember. But she was super young, I know that. And in other countries, they don't really, we go out to eat at Hard Rock or stuff like that. And he would only allow her to go out if she was with me, because he trusted me to kind of take care of her. And then I remember they had a trip where they went to South Korea, and there was like 5 of us that got left behind because of numbers. And so I took her out with the group, and I remember how sweet she was. And so since those times, I've really had a soft spot for her, and it just hurts me to watch this, and watch her go on these. And I've kind of recently been through it, the last couple of years, where I'm like, you know what? I got to stop living in the past, and I've got to say, I've got great stuff right in front of me, and just focus on the here and the now. And I think that's what she's doing. And I think that's what led to the SmackDown stuff with Tiffy, is that all this stuff is now starting to come out. She did all the talk shows, and she's like, listen, it's not fun to have to admit I tried to hide the divorce because it's embarrassing. Well, half the country goes through divorces. It's what you put on yourself, and yeah, it feels like it's embarrassing, but people move on very, very quickly. They forgive, they forget. And I do wish on some level she could let part of that go off her shoulders and say, I'm not my dad. I'm not that situation. I'm a great, maybe arguably the greatest of all time. Arguably, you could put her on the Mount Rushmore probably, as far as talent, athleticism, all that kind of stuff. And I think right now, if she really did that, she could turn this whole thing around. But I think turmoil is a really good word for what's going on in her brain right now. And as we head into WrestleMania, I've heard rumors, and I don't think this is ever going to happen, that they could potentially take this match off of the card. They're adding so many other matches now. You don't think they would ever take this off, do you?
I would say absolutely not, but they've done a lot of things that I never thought they would do. So who knows, man? I can't predict the things they do anymore, Coach.
No doubt about it. A couple more minutes. We got to get out of here. We do have another super sticker from T Queen. What do you think of Rock's new Japan shirt? First, live, and thank you, T Queen. I don't know if you saw this, Vince, but Rock put out a post the other day, and he's wearing a New Japan shirt. And to your point, he never does anything. He's the most followed human or man. One of the two. It's a lot of followers. And if he wears something, he knows it's going to be seen by well over 100 million people. Do you think there's anything to that, or he just decided to grab a T-shirt out of the closet and put it on?
Yeah, I think that there is more to that. What I don't know, but everything he does is very calculated and thought through. Yeah, he's a great businessman, man. There's no question about that. And even if you're just asking questions about it, that's what he wants.
No doubt about it. All right, let's wrap things up here with our final takes. Again, we will be here on Thursday. I will be live from Orlando, our third straight week of our PFL World Tournament. First 2 weeks have been amazing. But Vince, as we head into the next 3 days, when the all of the conventions, all of the shows, all of the stuff that's going to be going on in Las Vegas. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how the likes of like Chris Van Vliet's show, Fluffy has a show at the Cosmopolitan, how all of these things are selling to me is a direct result of how many people are coming to town for WrestleMania. If that's down, I wonder if all of these other things will be down. That's going to be my focus this week.
Yeah, well, at some point too, Coach, you gotta run out of money, right? Even if I'm going to Vegas and I want to go to all these things, I can't afford it. So it comes to the point that you're going to have to pick and choose. So definitely some people are going to be affected.
Two other super stickers real quick. Triple H is inducting the Bret Hart Austin match to appease CM Punk. Those are his two favorites. How pathetic. I don't know if he's doing it because of that. He is allowing CM Punk to introduce it. But I've always said this about the Hall of Fame because I don't like to disrespect anybody, Vince. But people have asked you a million times. They've asked me a million times. Would you accept a nomination in the Hall of Fame if they ask you? And I've had the same answer. If there ever is a true brick and mortar Hall of Fame where the busts are there and you've got videos and stuff, like Saudi Arabia has more for the WWE than the United States does when it comes to that sort of thing, then I might listen to it. I would never disrespect the guys that are in the Hall of Fame. But to me, when you look at the stuff they do, like what we just talked about, they check boxes. And they're like, okay, got to have a female. All right, we've got to have a match, or we've got to have OGs. Is Earthquake, is he been inducted? Earthquake? Isn't he?
Well, you got to understand though, Coach. I'm not gonna sit here and let you, disintegrate the good name of Earthquake because he also put in double time. He was also the great Galga, Coach. So don't just say Earthquake / Galga. So, come on, man, please.
You are the best. Last one, Ronnie from Vegas. Is that the same? If that's the same Ronnie, DM me. Rhea Ripley's the GOAT. I'd have her wrestle Chad. That would be interesting. Intergender match. She's probably the only female on the roster that could do it.
I got to say two things. Number one, first of all, in the wrestling circles, John Tenta is beloved. I do want to say that he is absolutely beloved. People love the guy. Number two, bro, I listen, man, I've been watching a lot. And I've been saying the way they are booking Rhea Ripley, she's in the doghouse. I've been saying it, man, because she's
Why do you think that?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. She's money. She's larger than life. She reeks charisma. She is a star. Okay? Coach, again, and this is why I'm telling you right now, Io Sky is going over at WrestleMania. I'm telling you right now, Coach, again, I'm on my feed. And there's a video of somebody backstage presenting Rhea Ripley with some kind of a gift. She's totally out of character, no makeup. This person gives her a gift. She opens it. There's all pink paper in this box. And she looks like an ivory snow girl. And she's laughing and she's giggling. And I'm like, that is why they're booking you the way that they're booking you. Why is stuff like this getting out there? I feel like Rhea Ripley, to me, is a poster person for that wrestler that must be liked, has to be liked, and has to be loved. And she's killing the freaking gimmick, Coach. Did anybody ever see Chyna do any of that stuff ever? You looked at Chyna, man, bro, if you were a guy 6'4", 250 pounds, you would look at Chyna in the corner of your eye and question whether or not she'd really kick your butt. Then I see these things with Rhea Ripley getting emotional over gifts, and I'm like, you've got to stop that. Because there's a lot of old school people still working in the WWE that are going to hold that against you.
No question. No question. And you've got to be smarter than that. And we talk about it a lot here on the show. And you still have some of the new fans, but Coach, Triple H said it on the start of Netflix. Rock says, when I'm on here, I'm The Rock, and then he goes and he's Dwayne Johnson, and he's helping fans. Rock's a little bit different. Rock is a movie star over here. Vince, I'm never going to not be on this ledge with you, because to me, part of the business is real to people. And when somebody says to me online, Coach, we know that it's a stage show. We know that TKO wants it to be entertainment. Well, guess what, Vince? TKO hasn't been around for the last 40 or 50 years to understand what a true wrestling fan gets. And to me, if I'm making 7 figures and my name is Rhea Ripley and my gimmick is the black, guess what you're never going to see me out of other than walking to my car, getting in, and driving away? The black, right? And to me, the fact that these stars don't get that they don't understand, and I said it with John Cena, and John Cena gets it. And I can only imagine how difficult it was for him to turn heel when all these videos start coming out of these kids. Kid. That's real to them. The wrestling business is real to a lot of people. And Vince, the last thing I will say is this, that even if it is entertainment, you're sitting watching a ring of real people. You don't get to sit and watch a soap opera be made up close. You don't get to watch a movie made up close. And to me, if any of these youngsters started staying in character most of the time, they would leapfrog most of the roster.
Coach, just to break this down real easy, I'm not going to take a little time, but guys, look at any of your badass fictional characters. Okay, look aside from 1966, because that was supposed to be campy. Look at any Batman movie from Michael Keaton on. Have we ever seen Batman in a mamby-pamby moment? Have you ever seen James Bond? There were 18 people play James Bond. You ever see James Bond in a mamby-pamby moment? You ever see John Wick? You ever see John Wick in a mamby-pamby moment? No, those are characters. So you believe in those characters. Can you imagine, man, you see, like John Wick let down his guard and he's watching a Field of Dreams and he's crying when the father and son are having a catch. Can you imagine that? Real characters stay consistent. They never let down the guard and they carry on for decades and decades and decades. You see this? That character's gone, man. And why? The question is
no reason.
Why?
There is no reason. No reason. To me, it's laziness, but it's also a conscious thought to let's make this all about entertainment, because we have Vince would never allow. I'm going to give you 2 examples before we get out of here.
Never.
I just saw this on one of the A&E shows about The Undertaker. The Undertaker during his, from whatever, 25 years. Have you ever seen him at an airport in a picture anywhere that he was not at least with the face and the seriousness of being who his character was? Ever?
Never.
I never have.
Never.
And then you had the Dudley Boys. Say what you want about Bubba Ray. I was there when he came in, and he wanted to be in character 24 hours a day. If he walked through and it kind of led to him getting in trouble a few times, because Vince didn't like it all the time. Vince was like, if you're in a hotel and there's no cameras around, then just sign, take a picture. But then once cameras became a big thing, he kind of laid off that a little bit. But Bubba Ray with the Dudley Boys, he wanted people to think that you're going to go through a table in the bar, in the lobby, in the airport all the time. And I kind of appreciated that about him in a little way. Is that he wasn't going to be like, nope, not today. No, it could be every single day. And that's the beauty of it, because we're 52 weeks a year. We're not off 28 weeks making a TV show.
Coach, I remember working with these people, and then seeing them do something out of character. You almost couldn't believe what you were seeing. I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Big Papa Pump. Scott Steiner. There were times at TNA, hours and hours before the show, he would be in the ring with his 2 little sons playing around and wrestling. I would have to take a double take Because no, Scott Steiner doesn't love his own kids. What are you, Scott Steiner? Literally, because that's how convincing they were with the persona. Here, I mean, again, Coach, I said this. And here's where the WWE is at fault. They have these, you're going to see this at WrestleMania. They give anybody access to these wrestlers. If you've got an X account and you've got 1 billion followers, guess what? You're getting the press pass. Then you're going to WrestleMania. Next thing we know, you're playing Never Have I Ever with Rhea Ripley. Bro, I saw Never Have I Ever with Braun Breaker.
Stop it. You're lying. Lying.
I'll have the footage for you next week.
Oh, my God.
So who's to blame? Who's to blame here? The company or the individual?
Well, the company's got to tell them, because a lot of the young kids don't know any better. But with social media, you can't give it away. You just can't. And to me, it's so many changes need to be made. But this is something that bothers me. And I guarantee if we had Stone Cold sitting here right now, his head would pop off his shoulders. Undertaker too. And I would kind of say if you put a lie detector on Triple H, that he would have a problem too. We do have one more superstar. You guys are amazing. You just keep these coming. Have they screwed up the Jey Uso angle? He's being exposed, and if he beats Gunther, it will ruin Gunther. That's from Ronnie in Vegas. One more. We'll end it with this one, but thank you to all of you with the super stickers. Vince, I feel like both of these guys are in a no-win situation.
I agree with you, and I think they have screwed up the story with both of these guys. And guys, first and foremost, you've got to be true to your characters. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to give you both examples. When Gunther got pinned by Sami Zayn, it was game over. And I think that was last year, WrestleMania. It was game over. When Jey Uso's blood is getting beaten to a pulp and bloodied right before his eyes, and the next week he comes out and says, I'm not afraid of you, and doesn't do anything, game over. Game over. Any casual fan is watching. You talk about mamby-pamby, Coach. You talk about mamby-pamby. Game over. Game over. You've got to protect these talents, Coach.
Well, and then you're allowing Gunther to... They protect him, but then they send them out to do the interviews. And Gunther this week talking about how he even felt like 2.5 months was too long in between Chamber and here. It just was. That's fact. And you can't have a 52-week-a-year show and ask them. And he even said it, man, we really stretched it out. And now I feel like well, guess what? We're now a week away. And Vince, to me, if you're going to make the World Heavyweight Championship mean something, you can't have these two main event night one. It just, people would be leaving. All you would see is people going up the stairs. So now do you have it be the first match because of all the yeeting? And if that's the first match, have you ever known the World Heavyweight title to be the what do we call that? The curtain jerker?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And to me, that's a no-win. And then Jey Uso, who's a overwhelming favorite at the sports books to beat Gunther and become the champion. Now you're kind of starting from scratch, and you've got to build him up to make people believe that he's a legitimate world heavy. It's not an intercontinental title. This is the top title in the business on your brand. Period. End of story. And if you put it on Jey Uso, now you've got to build that up. How do you do that? I don't know.
Yeah. And with who? And with who?
And with who?
Absolutely.
There you go. All right, we're going to put a pin in it right there. They got kind of an extended version. We got into that a little bit. I like it. Yeah. I like it. There's nobody I like talking to the business more than with you. It's so incredible. And you guys in the chat, you just kept it going. This is what we want this show to be. We're less than a year in. We're going to be here for the next 20 years. Well, no, Vince is going to stop watching. Well, I'll deal with it.
9 months. 9 months.
9 months. All right, that's going to do it for us. Do not forget that right now, live on our feed, on our YouTube channel, our part 1 interview with Matt Cardona, the man, the best, biggest brand in all of the indies right now, and he's a really good dude too. Please go over there and check out part 1. Part 2 will drop on Thursday. All right. Tonight, the last word immediately after Monday Night Raw, and then it will air Thursday on Stadium at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're working, ladies and gentlemen, and we're working because all of you come here to allow us to work. So on behalf of my man, Vince Russo, producer man behind the scenes, I am the coach. We will see you Thursday, just 2 days before night number 1 of WrestleMania. There's only one. It's the Coach and Bro Show. Take care.